Hello class 12, welcome to the business studies class. Students, we were doing the 14 principles of Henry Fayol. Yesterday we completed 4 principles. Can you name those principles? Do you remember what all principles we did? Yes, we did division of work, we did authority and responsibility, we did unity in discipline, we did discipline and unity of command. Okay. So these 4 principles we have done. Yesterday I told you what is unity of command. Unity of command is that one employee should that the workers should get the directions, the instructions from one boss only. More than one boss will lead to confusion in the minds of the subordinates. So there should not be any contradiction between the uh, employees, between the bosses. So there should be on one boss over the employees. Okay, so that there is no confusion and no ego clashes among the employees, and they should be working efficiently and effectively for the organization. Uh, so today, now next 4 principles will cover up today. The 5th principle we are going to start with is unity of command. What is unity of command? Unity of direction. So what is unity of direction? Unity of command we have done yesterday. So unity of direction. What is unity of direction? Unity of direction means one head, one plan. One unit, one plan. One unit, one plan means that if there are when the company is a very big, when you are having a big unit, big company, ठीक है, उस big company may deal with many line of products. ठीक है, they may be dealing in cosmetics, they may be dealing in medicines also, they may be dealing in confectionery. ठीक है, so they may be dealing in different lines of products. ठीक है, but what unity of direction suggests, this principle suggests that every department must have its own plan and its own aim to achieve, and they should all work towards the achievement of their plan and their target. They should have their own plan and their own target, and every employee of that department should work effectively and efficiently towards achieving the achieving achieving the targets of their department, right? So according to this principle, one unit means one plan. That is, the efforts of all the members and employees, efforts of all the members and employees of the organization must be directed towards one direction, that is the achievement of common goal. Okay, as you can see in this figure also, the arrows are going in one direction, so there is a presence of unity of direction in this figure. Here you can see the arrows are going haywire direction, so there is lack of unity of direction. That means the employees are not directed towards one common goal here. So unity of direction means the employees should be clear about their target. They should know what they have to achieve. They should be clear about the plan, their targets, and their efforts should be directed towards achieving achieving those targets, right? So what are the positive effects of the principle? The positive effects of the principle would be that the employees would be able to achieve the organizational goals. The efforts of all the employees will get unified. The efforts of all the members, all the employees will get unified, and they will be directed towards the achievement of the organizational goals, and they will be directed in one direction only, towards one direction only. So now what will happen if if this principle is violated? What is going to happen in the organization if this principle is violated? If this principle is violated, there will be lack of coordination, as this principle is based on the coordination only. So lack of coordination will be there if this principle is violated. So there will be wastage of efforts and resources by working in different directions. If everybody is going haywire, so that means they will be wasting their efforts and resources. Nothing would come as a result, and if there will be difficulty in achieving the organizational goals, they won't be able to achieve their organizational goals. Right. So we should effectively implement this unity of direction in our organization. For example, if a company manufacturing motorcycles as well as cars, then it should have two separate divisions. Each division should have its own in charge plans and resources. So, or if a company may be dealing in 1, 2 or 3, 4, 5, maybe n number of products, but the company should have its own it should have separate plans and separate targets should be assigned to each and every departments, and if the employees of those departments should work towards the achievement of their own targets and towards their own accomplishment towards their own accomplishment of their own plans, right? So what is the difference between the unity of command and unity of direction? The unity of command means it means that a subordinate should receive orders and instructions from one boss only. But unity of direction means one head and one plan, one unit and one plan. So, for a group of activities having the same objectives, the activities should be directed towards the common goals. Here, the subordinates should receive instructions from one boss only, and here, unity of direction means one department, if each and every department should have one plan, one target, and they should have their own targets, and their employees should be directed towards the achievement of their own common goals, right? So second is scope. This principle is related to the functioning of personnel, and this principle is related to the functioning of department or the organization as a whole. So this principle is related to the functioning of the employees, and here we are this principle is related to the functioning of the departments, the different departments. A company may have different departments for different line of products they are dealing in. So we are talking about here, we are talking about different departments of the organization. Here the purpose of the unity of the command is to avoid confusion and fix up the responsibility of the employees. अगर हम responsibilities fix up नहीं करेंगे employees की, then they will try to escape from their responsibilities. अगर उनके सिर पर एक से ज़्यादा bosses होंगे, then they will always be in confusion कि किसका order हमें follow करना, whose order we have to follow, whose instruction we have to follow first. तो एंड जब इस तरह का कंफ्यूजन होगा तो देयर वुड बी अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि एम्प्लॉयज भी अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से एस्केप करने की कोशिश करेंगे, राइट? सो टू avoid confusion and to fix up the responsibility of the employees, unity of command is very, very important. So there should be only one boss above the workers. But unity of direction, what do you mean by unity of direction? The purpose of unity of direction is that to direct the efforts of the employees of one department towards the achieving of the main objectives of that department. उस department के सभी employees मिलकर अपने department के common objective के लिए काम करें. That is the main purpose of unity of direction. Now what are the results that you get from unity of command? From unity of command you will get systematic working, improved efficiency by removing confusion and chaotic conditions. There will be no chaos in the organization. Employees will not be confused and they will work systematically. But in unity of direction, what will you achieve? You will achieve more coordination among the departments and overall by preventing overlapping of various activities. Okay? Now coming to the next principle. Next principle is remuneration of employees. What do you mean by remuneration of employees? Remuneration means paying fair wages and salaries to the employees. Remuneration, according to this principle, the employees in the organization must be paid fairly. In the organization, the employees must be paid fairly or adequately to give them maximum satisfaction. See, everyone is working for money, and if you are not able to give them fair wages, then there will be dissatisfaction among the employees. So to make them more satisfied and to give them maximum satisfaction, they should be paid fair and adequate wages. So employees should be paid fair wages and salaries, which would give them at least reasonable standard of living, so that they can live their lives properly with a reasonable standard of living, and at the same time it should be within the paying capacity of the company also. So the fair wage is determined according to the financial capacity of the company, of the concern, and by keeping in mind the minimum wages fixed by the government. Government has also fixed some minimum wages for the government, for the workers. So we should also keep that in mind and keep the financial capacity of the company also in the mind. And wages and salaries paid by the competitors, we should also keep that in mind कि आपके competitors market में क्या pay कर रहे हैं to the workers. अगर आप अपने competitors के according salaries नहीं देंगे, wages नहीं देंगे, then the workers will not be stable in your company. So for example, if in a particular year organization has earned more profit, right, अगर organization ने extra profit earn किया है, then it is the responsibility of the organization कि वो अपने employees को भी कुछ extra दे in the form of bonus. ठीक है. So for example, Raj is working in a toy manufacturing company. The management asked him to work more than normal working hours of the company, so that the company will meet the rising demands of its toy in the market. So Raj is working extra hours for extra working hours for the company. So in this case, Raj must be given adequate wages for an extra time, overtime work by him, right? So what will be the positive effects of this principle? Positive effects of the principle would be that employees will get motivated, and devotion and commitment of the employees will improve. And the consequences of violating this principle is that the turnover of the employees will increase. Turnover means the employees will leave the organization very soon. There will be a change, or every time there will be a change in the staff of the workers. So to make the employees more stable in your organization, you need to pay fair remuneration, fair wages to the employees. So increase in turnover of the employees would be there if you violate this principle, and dissatisfaction and demotivated employees would be there. So employees would be dissatisfied and demotivated, right? So next principle is subordination of individual interest to general interest. As the name suggests, subordination of individual interest to general interest. इंडिविजुअल इंटरेस्ट यानी आपका अपना इंटरेस्ट टू जनरल इंटरेस्ट. जनरल इंटरेस्ट किसका होगा? द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. सो हमारे इंडिविजुअल इंटरेस्ट से ऊपर होना चाहिए किसका इंटरेस्ट? द जनरल इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द organization. So according to this principle, the interest of the organization must supersede the interest of the individuals or employees. In the organization, all the employees are working with some objective. All the employees are working with some objective, and there is always an objective of the organization. So if the objectives of the individuals are in the same direction of the organization, then there is no problem. But if the objectives of both the groups are in different directions, then managers must try to reconcile the individual interest and with organizational goals, राइट. दैट मीन्स कि हम हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव्स होते हैं, और इंडिविजुअल्स के भी, जो वर्कर्स हैं उनके भी अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव्स होते हैं. इफ बोथ द ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आर गोइंग इन द सेम डायरेक्शन, देन इट इज़ बेनिफिशियल फॉर द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. देयर इज़ नो प्रॉब्लम. बट इफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन objectives are going in a different direction and individuals objectives individual goals are going in the other direction, then the manager should make efforts to reconcile the individual interest with the organizational goals. And if it is not possible, then individual goals must be sacrificed for achieving the organizational goals. Okay, so the interest of an organization should take priority over the interest of any one individual employee. Okay, for example, if before buying raw materials, the managers must compare the rate of the raw materials from all in the market. Okay, and then he must select the best possible price available for the raw material. He should not make misuse of his power and give the order to his own relative or own friend or something like that. इस तरह के favors उसको नहीं करने चाहिए. ठीक है. One more example can be if a particular employee asks manager to change his working hours. In this situation, no such change should be allowed for the sake of his convenience, only unless other employees are also prepared for this change, right? So positive effects of this principle could be achievement of organizational goals and coordination between individual and organizational goals. There would be coordination between individual and organization. But if we are violating this principle, then no achievement of organizational goals. Organizational goals will not be achieved क्योंकि आपके individual goals or organizational goals are going in the different directions. And even the employees will also suffer in the long run. Employees भी long run में suffer करेंगे इसकी वजह से. ठीक है. Next principle is centralization and decentralization. What is centralization and decentralization? Centralization is the concentration of authority or power in few hands at the top level, and decentralization means sharing of authority at every level of management. ठीक है. सेंट्रलाइजेशन इज जब अथॉरिटी या पावर्स एक ही जगह पर या टॉप लेवल पर सेंट्रलाइज्ड रहती हैं. टॉप लेवल के पास सारी पावर्स हैं, डिसीजन मेकिंग अथॉरिटी मेकिंग पावर्स हैं, अथॉरिटी है सिर्फ टॉप लेवल मैनेजमेंट के पास. तो दैट इज सेंट्रलाइजेशन. और जब वो हर लेवल ऑफ मैनेजमेंट पे डिसेंट्रलाइज कर दिया जाता है पावर्स को, अथॉरिटी को और डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर्स को, तो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन. ठीक है. देन according to Henry Fayol suggested that there should be a balance between the centralization and decentralization. He said कि किसी भी कंपनी में completely centralized और completely decentralization नहीं होना चाहिए. There should be a balance between both the two things. ठीक है. So if your company is a small company, small business है आपका, then you can go for centralization. You can have all the powers and decision making authority with you only. But if your organization is a bigger one, okay, is a huge one, then you cannot keep all the powers at yourself only or at the top level only. You have to decentralize the powers at every level of management. Otherwise there will be a chaos in the organization. You will not be able to run your company well. Okay, so decentralization means evenly distribution of the powers at all levels, right? So Fayol advised that complete centralization or complete decentralization नहीं होनी चाहिए, but there should be a combination of both the things. So here example can be like the panchayats in our country. Panchayats have been given more powers to decide and spend funds granted to them by the government and for the welfare of the villages. This is decentralization at the national level. Okay. So what are the positive effects of this principle? Positive effects can be the benefits of centralization as well as the decentralization. Both you can have in your company. The fast decisions at operational level and strict control by top level. you can take fast fast decisions, and there can be a strict control by the top level management. Now what will happen if you violate this principle? If you violate this principle, then there will be a delay in decision and there will be a misuse of authority. अगर सारी ही अथॉरिटी सिर्फ एक ऊपर टॉप लेवल के पास होगी, then obviously they will start misusing that authority and they won't be able to take decisions on time, because every time they will be overloaded with the work because they have not decentralized their authority. So it will lead to delay in decision and misuse of authority. So if you trust your employees and your employees are very much honest and trusted, so you must and they are efficient and competent also, then you must decentralize your powers at all levels of management, right? So these are the 4 principles which we have completed today, and tomorrow again we'll take the next 4 principles. I hope these 4 principles you are clear with. So please do the reading of these 8 principles from your NCERT book. Till then, goodbye.